Welcome back, class 8 students. How are you all? So today we are again here for discussing our another chapter. Previously we have already discussed that is minerals and power resources. So today we have decided that we will discuss about the agriculture. Yes, this is also another activity. Like minerals and power resources are also called as different types of activity because mining is a major activity by which we can extract minerals. Uh, so that's why we also have to read that we live in India and India is majorly agricultural dependent country. So agriculture is also another our main activity by which people can earn something. Okay, but if we want to discuss this chapter, then we also have to know that all types of activity, because in our society there are different types of activity. So there are different types of activity. If we divide them, then we can say activity, business activity by which we can earn something. So depends on them, we can categorize our activity into three types. Okay, primary activity number one, next secondary activity, then tertiary activity. What is the main example of primary activity? That is agriculture, and this primary activity we will discuss it today. Okay, so be ready, students. Look at the board, students. We have divided our activity into three types, that is primary, secondary and tertiary. Although it is not written in your book, but it is important to know, that's why I am explaining about it. So what is primary activity? Primary activity is extracting raw materials from anything. Okay, so what is the example? Agriculture is the example. Why? Because in agriculture, people who are engaged in agricultural practice, so they use the natural resources directly from the earth. So that's why agriculture is the example of primary activity. Next, secondary activity. Secondary activity always involve manufacturing and construction. As an example, we can say cotton. Cotton is a plant product. When we use cotton as raw material, when we use this as first aid, then it is not included secondary activity. If we extract something, so that's why we can say that when we make cotton cloths or any type of clothing material from cotton, then it involves the manufacturing and also construction that is related with buildings. So that type of activity are known as secondary activity. Then tertiary activity, which provides a service, any types of service, like in school. We in school or college or university, any institution, we the teachers provide a service for our students. So that is also involved in tertiary activity. Then hospital, nursing home, all the doctors and nurses are engaged with providing a service, health related service. So that is also the tertiary activity. So students, these are the main activities of our society. Okay, now we will elaborately discuss about the agriculture. What is agriculture? Why it is involved in primary activity? Then some factors which affects our agriculture, etc. Okay. In one word, we can say that agriculture is the cultivation or farming of land. This is the main thing. Okay. Then another thing, growing crops, fruits, vegetables, etc. So these two things are related with agriculture. So what is agriculture? Agriculture is a primary activity which involves cultivation or farming of land and growing crops, different crops, fruits, vegetables, also flowers, etc. And also the rearing of livestock. Livestock means domestic animals, and you know who are known as the domestic animals, like cow, goat, sheep, etc. Okay, so this is the main thing of agriculture. And you know, this agriculture system has started about 10,000 BCE. About 10,000 BCE, when humans started to grow some plants and domesticate animals to fulfill their basic needs, then this practice were actually began. As this system could feed many more people, it gradually displaced the hunting and gathering for food by early humans. And presently, about 37.5% of the world's population is engaged in agriculture. 37.5% people are engaged in agriculture. And in world's population is engaged about 52% of its population. Okay, so agriculture is also an major primary activity in which different types of peoples are engaged. By this process, every day we can get our delicious dishes, right? And different types of healthy foods, vegetables, etc. And if we are not provide any interest and not practice agriculture, then how could it be possible? So if we think that everybody in our future we are engaged with either in industrial sector or IT sector or any tertiary sector, so how would it be possible for growing the agriculture? So that's why this is also an important study, and many of the students are engaged in this agriculture, and by this type of study they know that which type of seeds and which type of seeds are important for growing crops and which techniques are necessary for growing the crops, which type of lands are suitable for agriculture. So by studying this agriculture, they can know the everything, and then by this process we can grow our daily needs. Okay, so that's why agriculture is also a major activity. Now we will focus on some factors which affects the agriculture. So mainly there are two types of factors: physical factors and human factors. In physical factor, we have to focus on relief, soil and climate. And the human factors categorize into three types, that is labor, capital and market. Okay, so now we will discuss about the physical factor. And firstly we will discuss about relief. Relief, this term is related with different types of landform. Landform means that in all over the world there are different types of landform, and some is occupied by mountainous area, terrain or hilly area, plain area and plateau area, and also island area. So these are the main types of landform. And we already know that in the hilly area or in the mountainous area, agricultural practice is not suitable if we compare it in our area like plain area, because you know that plain area or the rivers in lowlands or deltas of river, this type of region always provide the fertile land. That type of soil that is known as the alluvial soil or alluvium soil, that is that type of soil or land always provides the fertile characteristics. So that's why which are mainly important for agriculture. But if we compare it with hilly area or mountainous area, at that area the slope, the land is not plain. That land is very much rough and also uneven, and the land is also like slopey area, okay, and that at that slope it is not possible to hold the water capacity. So that's why at that area we have to practice the terrace farming. Yes, at that area we can also practice the agriculture, but not a large amount. In Darjeeling, we can't practice the paddy or wheat, okay, but at that area we can practice tea, coffee, etc. Actually, by practicing the terrace farming or any types of farming that can be practiced in the hilly or mountainous area, so that type of agricultural practice we can practice, but it is not possible as in our plain land which always provides the fertile land. So that's why relief is also an important factors of agriculture. Now soil is also related with the relief, because you know that in which land the fertile land is available, at that fertile land always provides the fertile soil, that means alluvial soil. The type of soil also determines the types of crops and that can be grown in an area. For example, fertile soil, well drained soil. Well drained soil means, suppose this is a soil and in this area we practice something and the soil has porosity, by which pores the water can go in the very deep portion of the earth, okay. So that is known as well drained soil, are perfect for the farming of most crops. If the soil absorbs water, then it is very much important for that type of plants which grow in this land, if the soil holds the water. So this is also an important factor. And you know, in the deltaic area, at that area the soil absorbs the water. So that is the reason why deltas form major agricultural region of the world. So this is also an important question, why delta area are important for agricultural practice, okay. So this is our soil factor. Nextly we will discuss about climate. Yes, you already know that in all over the world weather and climate also differs because of the different types of altitude, different types of latitude, longitude. So the temperature and rainfall in an area determine which type of crops will grow at that area. Minimum temperature is needed 6 degrees centigrade for growing crops. Important for short question. 6 degrees centigrade temperature is required for growing crops. For example, we can say that a crop like rice would require high temperatures and heavy rainfall, while wheat would require lower temperatures and lesser rainfall. And if we discuss in the desert area, so in the desert area not any type of agricultural practice is done there, because at that area that area doesn't receive a large amount of rainfall but a large amount of temperature. So that's why which type of plants we see at that area? Yes, thorny plants like cactus. So this is also the another factor. Although it is not written, but you have to know it, and you already know. So climate also another important factors which also determines that which type of crops will grow at the particular area. So now we will discuss about the human factors, and for discussing it, at first we will discuss about labor. Actually, all types of agricultural practice or cultivation of land require labor in the form of humans or machines, because now in the technical era we know the different types of uses of machines, and we know different techniques by which we can grow well. So labor also related the humans and machines to do all the work. Like some crops require more labor while some less. For example, rice cultivation requires a lot of workers while sheep rearing requires lesser labor. So that's why labor determines the agricultural factor. Next, capital. Capital means money. This is the money were required to buy seeds, and there are different types of seeds: low quality seeds and high quality seeds. If we practice with high quality seeds, then from our land we can grow high quality crops and in a very minimum time. And if we use good fertilizer, or if we used a technique with good machines, then also we can grow the crops in very large amount or in a very lesser time. So this can come from the sale of the farm produce or from loans from banks, because nowadays government give a loan for the farmers by which they can involve these different types of things, like buy different types of crops or seeds and fertilizers, and they can use this money for buying machines, etc. So this way capital is related with the human factor. Then market. Yes, market is also related with all the agricultural practice, because from market actually we buy the different crops. So this refers to customers who buy agricultural produce. Farmers need to sell their crops and animals. So from direct land or from direct the agricultural land, they sell their crops and animals. Besides, for some perishable food means which can be rotten in a very short time, like dairy product, okay, which are made from the milk. So that is perishable food. It is important to have a market in a very close to the areas producing them. So since so many factors affect agriculture, not all land can be cultivated. So if we want to practice agriculture, so that at first we have to know that if this land is arable or not. If they actually in our world there are different types of lands are there, but not all the lands are used for agriculture. Which land is used for agriculture, at which land all the factors like relief, soil and climate is also appropriate, and the labors, capitals and market facility are also there, only that land is suitable for agriculture. So it is not important then there is a fallow land, an open area, and at that area we can practice any agricultural crops, that not. Which area is only suitable for agriculture, that area have to be suitable for water holding capacity, plain land, fertile soil, appropriate climate, etc. Okay, so these are the main things of factors which affects our agriculture. So now we will discuss about different types of agriculture. So we can categorize into two main parts, that is subsistence agriculture, commercial agriculture. Subsistence agriculture further divided into three types, that is intensive, shifting, nomadic. And the commercial agriculture further divided into three types, that is extensive, mixed farming and plantation farming. And the other types of agriculture, that is known as small scale commercial farming, and which further divided into two types, that is horticulture and market gardening. So these are the main types of agriculture we naturally practice in our India. Not only in our India, throughout the world. So firstly we will discuss about the subsistence agriculture. What is it? Actually, subsistence agriculture is family oriented and it has been existing since prehistoric times. Why we use this type of agriculture, why the farmer practice this agriculture? Because they grow the crops only for their family. Their family eats and raises animals that provide food for the family only. And there is no any surplus for sale. Surplus means any extra crops. Which type? The land is used here in very small land, okay, and the yielding capacity also very much small. So that's why there is not any surplus crops. The surplus means which is extra. Which type of crops they want to grow, all the crops are for their needed. So by which the farmer grows crops only for their family. Actually, it is a system of farming where the farmer grows crops and keeps the livestock or domestic animals only for their family needs, and there is no surplus which they are using for sale. This is the type of farming that has been existing for a very ancient time. So it is only with technological advances that other forms of agriculture were developed, and it still exists now in parts of Africa, Latin America, Asia, and in this practice the farms are very small and the yields are very low. This is also called intensive form of farming. Okay, now what is commercial agriculture? Commercial, this term is related with business purpose. That is the main difference between subsistence and commercial. This is the type of farming system that is practiced only for business purposes, by which they can sell their products such as tea, coffee, sugarcane, cotton, that are produced only for sale in the market, by which they can earn money. And this also includes livestock grazing and production. So this is the main difference between subsistence and commercial. Now we will further elaborately discuss the subsistence farming. Firstly, we will discuss about the intensive subsistence farming. This is a system in which large amounts of labor and capital, that means money, are used on a small area, because subsistence farming are also related with small area and low yielding capacity. So this is the system in intensive where the large amounts of labor and the capitals are used on a small area of land, and use of high quality seeds and irrigation process you already know, then the high quality fertilizer, different types of insecticides, pesticides and high quality machinery, which are the main reasons why more capital and labors are required. Generally, this system is practiced in densely populated areas because we need a large amount of labor. So that's why if any area is populated with densely, so we can get that large amount of labors, and the land is scarce here and more food is needed. So for example, you have to read some places, that is East Asia, Southeast Asia, South Asia, etc. And sometimes the double cropping may be carried out. Suppose in the summer season rice, and in the winter season millet, to obtain the maximum yield from the land. Rice grown widely in East Asia is an example of intensive agriculture with high inputs. High inputs, why? Because in the intensive farming we use the high quality seeds, irrigation, fertilizer, machinery, etc. That's why it is known as high inputs per unit area. Why? Because the resulting in high outputs. Why we provide the high inputs? To get the high outputs. Other crops including wheat, pulses and oilseeds are also grown here. So for each and every types of agriculture, we have to know what type of land is needed, and the land and the different types of seeds, machinery and labors needed in which amount, and the inputs and the outputs, and in which places that crops are mainly grown. And also we have to know the different types of examples included in this agriculture. Then you will read about the shifting agriculture. Shifting agriculture, you already know, this is a system in which a plot of land is cleared and cultivated for some time till the soil nutrients run out, because for some time the soil has nutrients. After that nutrients run out. So that after that the farmer moves on to a new plot of land. So the abundant land lies as fallow land. Fallow land means cultivated land that has been left unfarmed for some time, and that land will be fallow for up to 15 to 30 years or more. Only large area and stumps are left behind. This type of farming can be carried in low population areas. So this is also the difference between intensive and shifting. In intensive it is practiced in densely populated area, but shifting agriculture is naturally seen in low population area where enough land is available to be cultivated and then abundant in this manner. Therefore now we will find shifting agriculture limited to small areas in the tropical forest. But in this process, in this shifting agriculture, the slash and burn method is very important. Slash and burn. What is the meaning of slash and burn method? In this process, farmers slash means cut and burn the trees, plants and leaves to get the nutrients held within them. Then the ashes from the burned vegetation provide nutrients and thus fertilize the soils for further growths of crops. This works for about 4 to 5 years in one place. This farming is known by different names worldwide. Like in Northeast India it is known as Jhum. In Africa it is known as Sweden. And in Central America it is known as Milpa, and in the Philippines it is known as Kenzin. So this slash and burn method is naturally related with shifting agriculture, because in the shifting agriculture the farmers naturally shift their land from one land to another land, and when they leave the first land and goes to the second land, then first land is left with like as fallow land. And at that land they use the slash and burn method. And why? Because to get that type of nutrients at that soil. and it include according to the soil nutrients quality, and it takes around 4 to 5 years. So this is the shifting agriculture. Now what is nomadic agriculture? This is generally practiced in arid and semi-arid lands. You now know that which land is known as arid land. Desert area is known as the arid land, where cultivation is not possible. Arid means you have read in class 7 the different types of erosion and depositional process, and at that chapter you have already read that in the desert area the works of winds are mostly seen. So that type of desert area is known as the arid land. At that arid land only nomadic herding is seen. So people migrate with their herds of animals looking for new grazing grounds and water. Sometimes mixed herds of cattle, camels, sheep, goats and horses are raised, as in parts of Central Asia, while in other areas a single animal species is reared, such as the camel in Arabia. The Kyrgyz tribes of the Central Asia still migrate with their herds of goats, and the Maasai in East Africa still rear just cattle. Generally, this is a seasonal movement. The herds move to warmer lowlands during winter and to the cooler highlands in summer. So this is mainly related the nomadic herding. Okay, and in which area it is mainly seen? In the arid region. Now we will discuss about the commercial agriculture. We have already discussed, and we will further discuss about the extensive commercial practice or extensive grain farming. What is this? This is a system. It actually this is totally different if we compare it with intensive farming. In intensive farming, the area of land is very small in amount, but in the extensive, this agricultural practice is related with a large area of land and is used, but the amount of capital and labor which are used in intensive in large amount, but in the extensive farming that capital and labor used is very small compared to the size of the land. The yield is low per unit area of land, and so large tracts of land are required to produce in larger quantities. And we can find this system in areas of low population where abundant land is available. Often the work is highly mechanized to obtain higher output. So this is the main difference of intensive and extensive. We also have to practice or also have to prepare the differences between intensive and extensive farming. Now what is about mixed farming? This is the another system of agriculture that is a combination of cropping and also animal husbandry. That's why this is the combination of cropping and animal husbandry. That's why it is known as the mixed farming. So both crops and livestock are produced on the farm, and it is generally we can found in suppose North America, Europe on a large scale. The farms range from small to medium in size, and usually we would found many buildings on the farm, one each for machinery, cattle, dog, sheep, etc. There is a growing specialization in the farm. So one species of cattle may be raised on a part of the farm while a single crop is grown in the other part. So the single crop may be livestock feed such as alfalfa that is grown along with the livestock. These farms are modern and highly mechanized. So this is the main thing of mixed farming. Then plantation farming. It is carried out in large estates or plantation in tropical areas. Tropical areas, you already know which areas receives the large amount of sunlight and large amounts of rainfall. At that area we can see the plantation farming. Thousands of square kilometers of forest lands was once cleared by Europeans in their overseas colonies to cultivate sugar, rubber, trees, palms, etc. Crops types were determined by the soil and the climate of the place. This was a very labor intensive farming. A great amount of labor, large amount of labor is needed for the plantation farming. Okay, and while large amounts of capital were provided by the colonizer, examples we can say fruits and sugar plantations of the Caribbean and Latin America, cotton and tobacco in southern US. So there are different types of examples we have to read. Nextly, dairy farming. Dairy, this term I have already told you that it is related with milk products. So this dairy farming is also included the commercial agriculture. So why? Because this dairy product we used for the selling purpose, and that breeds and raises animals, mainly cows, for the production of milk and dairy products, which products are made from the milk. So buffaloes, goats and sheep are also used for this purpose, and milk is produced in large quantities, and about 60% is converted to other dairy products like yogurt, cheese, butter, ice cream, skimmed milk, condensed milk, etc. The milk may be processed on site or transported to a dairy for processing and sale. Many of the farms are family owned. The European Union was the largest milk producer. Important for short question. The European Union was the largest milk producer in the world in 2003. This type of farming is mainly noticeable in Australia, New Zealand, Europe, Denmark, etc. Now, if we want to discuss the agriculture, then there are also another types of agriculture, that is known as the small scale commercial farming, which may be further divided into two categories, that are horticulture and market gardening. What is about horticulture? This is the growing of fruits and flowers on small plots of land for sale. So it is also known as the commercial agriculture. Horticulture is also related with commercial, because in horticulture we in which type of flowers and fruits are grown, that are also used for the business purpose. So that's why it is also related with commercial agriculture. Generally, these are located close to the cities and towns where these are sold in market. The closeness to the market also prevents these perishable goods from going waste. Why fruits and flowers are known as perishable? Because it is easily be rotten. So that's why like dairy products or milk product, fruits and flower is also perishable goods, which can be easily spoiled or rotten easily. Then what is about market gardening? This is a form of vegetable farming where vegetables are grown in small market gardens close to the local market. It is also known as truck farming, because truck is also related with market gardening, because truck transport the vegetables to the towns and cities close by. These farms are characterized by their small size and great diversity of crops. The land may be small in size, but we can grow there different types of crops. A diversity of crops we can is mainly noticeable in the market gardening. Usually the market gardenings occupy some vacant land in the city or town and supply fresh produce to the local people. So these are the main things of the agriculture. So from this chapter we have gained the idea about the agricultural practice, and there are different types of factors which affects our agriculture, and then the different types of agriculture. So I think we all are cleared about this chapter, and so you have to read the different types of short types of questions inside the chapter. Later we will provide your study mat, so don't worry, let's revise the chapter. Okay, thank you students.